नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे सर्वशास्त्रार्थ पीयूष सर्ववेदैक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाढ्य सर्वलोकैक तृप्तदा सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभु कविध्वान तोदितादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाठाय प्रेम वर्षक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्याय श्री कृष्णाय नमस्तु मे मदेक बंधो मत्संगिन मद्गुरो मन्महाधन मन्निस्तारक मद्भाग्य मदानंद नमस्तुते असाधु साधुतादायन् नतिनीचोच्चताकर आनमंच कदाचिन्मां प्रेम्णा हृत्कण्ठयोस्फुर ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. Okay, so today we will cover Srimad Bhagavatam 1.10.36 to 1.11.12. 36. 36. तत्र तत्र तत्रत्यय हरिः प्रत्युद्यतार्हणः सायं भेजे दिशं पश्चात् गविष्ठौ गां गतस्तदा. On his journey through these provinces, he was welcomed, worshipped, and given various presentations. In the evening, in all places, the Lord suspended his journey to perform evening rites. This was regularly observed after sunset. Jiva Goswami notes that the Lord had traveled on a very fast-moving chariot. ननु शूरसेन यामुनान्तर्गत वृंदावन स्थानां श्रीमन्नन्दादीनां मिलनादिकं विशिष्य कथं न वर्णितं. Why is it that it is not stated that he had met Sriman Nanda Maharaj and others in Vrindavan, which was in the region surrounding Yamuna, in the Shurasena kingdom? So that is dealt with here. Here, Gavishtha, Gavishtha, one meaning of Gavishtha is the sun in the sky. But Gavishtha can also mean one who is engaged in the pastimes of a cowherd boy. स एव गविष्ठः गोपाललीलः सन् तदा दन्तवक्र anantaram gokulameva gataha. After killing Dantavakra, he had gone to Gokula. That aprakata prakashe taisardha aprakatam stita evetyartha. The idea is that he had entered into the unmanifest pastimes of his Gokula pastimes. along with his associates in Gokula. Prakatena Swaprakashena Prakata Prakasha Vishesha Darshana Kautukartameva Tada Tatra Gavanam. But in his manifest pastimes also he wanted to go. Taditam Shri Krishna Sandarbha Vritamasti. This is all detailed in Sri Krishna Sandarbha. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur notes that uh, he was given various presentations by various devotees on the way towards Dwaraka because they wanted to bring him to their places. Tena, therefore, tattad bhaktam manoratha purnartham tattad desham gatva eva. Tatra tatra ekani dinani sthitva punarvartmano sasareti bhavaha. So he went to those places, stayed there for one day in each place, and then he came back to the place. Then finally, he he arrived at the region of Dwaraka. So at that time, the sun had also set. So in that way, he stayed for 1 or 2 days in these respective places. Prabhupada. It is said here that the Lord observed the religious principles regularly while he was on the journey. Thus, there are certain philosophical speculations that even the Lord is under the obligations of fruitive action. But actually, this is not the case. He does not depend on the action of any good or bad work. Since the Lord is absolute, everything done by him is good for everyone. Since the Lord is absolute, everything done by him is good for everyone. But when he descends to earth, he acts for the protection of the devotees and for the annihilation of the impious non-devotees. Although he has no obligated duty, still he does everything so that others may follow. That is a way of actual teaching. One must act properly himself and teach the same to others. Otherwise, no one will accept one's blind teaching. He is himself the awarder of fruitive results. He is self-sufficient, and yet he acts according to the rulings of the revealed scripture in order to teach us the process. If he does not do so, the common man may go wrong. But in the advanced stage, when one can understand the transcendental nature of the Lord, one does not try to imitate him. This is not possible, meaning that it is not possible to successfully imitate the Lord. The Lord in human society does what is the duty of everyone, but sometimes he does something extraordinary and not to be imitated by the living being. His acts of evening prayer, as stated herein, must be followed by the living being, but it is not possible to follow his mountain lifting or dancing with the gopis. Dancing with the gopis in as many forms as there were gopis. That one cannot imitate. One cannot imitate the sun, which can exhaust water even from a filthy place. The most powerful can do something which is all good, but our imitation of such acts will put us into endless difficulty. Therefore, in all actions, the experienced guide, the spiritual master, who is the manifested mercy of the Lord, should always be consulted, and the path of progress will be assured. 11. Chapter 11. Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwaraka. One. Tutuvacha. Anartan sa upavrajya smruddhan janapadan swakan. Dathmau daravaram tesham vishadam shamayan niva. Tutu Goswami said, upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis known as the country of the Anarthas Dwarka, the Lord sounded his auspicious conch shell, heralding his arrival and apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants. Sridhar Swami. Anarthaistu yamanasya Preem nirvishya bandhubhi ekadashe ratih samyak yadavendrasya varnyate. In the 11th chapter, it is described that the Lord of the Yadavas, when he was entering into his city, with his uh, relatives. He was glorified by the residents of those places in Dwaraka. Their attraction towards him is properly and completely described. Utsavai Ruchalat Pauram Udanchad Dhvajatoranam Ullasad Ratnadipali Swapuram Prabhur Avishyak. The Lord entered his own city, which was bustling with festivity, with flags and Toran. I don't know what is Toran in English. It is commonly kept uh, like archways using leaves and so on. They were erected, and the entire place was shining with um, jewels and lamps. Suridhan, Samriddhan. Dwaraka was most prosperous. Daravaram Panchajanyam Shankham. His consul was Panchajanya, Dadhmo Aditavan. Ekadashe Sutah Krishna Anartai Swapuram Gataha Bandhugir Militah Kanta Adhino Riti Varnyate. So he met his relatives and his beloved wives. They also met him. Eva iti sakshat darshanam vina samyak vishadasya shantyannupapatti. The word Eva is used here. Seemingly, apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants. Why apparently? Because they were not actually pacified completely unless they could actually see him and meet him. The beloved Lord was away from his own prosperous metropolis of Dwaraka for a considerably long period because of the Battle of Kurukshetra, and thus all the inhabitants were overcome with melancholy due to this separation. When the Lord descends to the earth, his eternal associates also come with him, just as the entourage of a king accompanies him. Such associates of the Lord are eternally liberated souls, and they cannot bear the separation of the Lord even for a moment because of intense affection for the Lord. Thus, the inhabitants of the city of Dwaraka were in a mood of dejection and expected the arrival of the Lord at any moment. So, the heralding sound of the auspicious conch was very encouraging, and apparently, the sound pacified their dejection. They were extremely aspirant to see the Lord amongst themselves, and all of them became alert to receive him in the befitting manner. These are the signs of spontaneous love of God, Godhead. Text 2. स उच्चकाशे धवलोदरोदरो युरक्रमस्याधरशोणशोणिमा दाधमायमानः करकञ्च सम्पुटे यथाब्जखण्डे कलहंस उत्स्वनः. There is one alankar here. I don't know the name of it, but in English we call it alliteration. The sounds are repeating, you see. Dhavalo, daro, daro. Urukramasyaadharashonashonima. Karakanja sampute. Kalahamsa utswana. The white and fat bowled conch shell being gripped by the hand of Lord Krishna and sounded by him appeared to be reddened by the touch of his transcendental lips. It seemed that a white swan was playing in the stems of red lotus flower. Dharmapura, what is the name of this thing?
In English, I don't know. Anupras we say in Sanskrit.
That the sounds are repeated.
Yeah.
In a pleasing manner. Okay, Swami. So the sound of the conch was like the sound of a royal swan amidst red lotuses. What is this? He's holding them in with four hands. Chaturbishkara Indritatva. So that means he had manifested four arms.
It comes in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also. In Dwarka, he shows four arms.
Not always, sometimes.
Not always, sometimes. He showed to Arjuna also. I mean, with Arjuna, he was talking in four arms. Comes in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Dwarka, I think, something like that.
They are saying that Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti and Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan both are saying that he was holding the conch with four arms, and therefore the comparison to red lotuses are brought out. So it looks like the palms of his hands, they are reddish. That's why this comparison is brought out. The redness of the white conch shell due to the lip touch of the Lord is a symbol of spiritual significance. The Lord is all spirit, and matter is ignorance of the spiritual existence. Actually, there's nothing like matter in spiritual enlightenment. And the spiritual enlightenment takes place at once by the contact of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. The Lord is present in every particle of all existence, and he can manifest his presence from anything and everything according to the spiritual enlightenment of the devotee. Otherwise, the Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to anyone and everyone. By ardent love and devotion service to the Lord, or in other words, by spiritual contact with the Lord, everything becomes spiritually reddened like the conch shell in the grip of the Lord. And the Paramahamsa, or the supremely intelligent person, plays a part of the ducking swan in the water of spiritual bliss, eternally decorated by the lotus flower of the Lord's feet. 3. Tam upashrutya ninadam jagad bhayabhayavaham pratyudyayu prajah sarva bhartrit darshana lalasa. The citizens of Dwaraka, having heard that sound which threatens fear personified in the material world, began to run towards him fast, just to have a long desired audience with the Lord, who is the protector of all devotees. Jagato yad bhayam tasya bhayavapam pratyudyayuhu pratyudyamyohu bhartur darshane lalasa utsukyam yasantaha. As already explained, the citizens of Dwaraka who lived at the time of Lord Krishna's presence there were all liberated souls who had descended there along with the Lord as his entourage. All were very anxious to have an audience with the Lord, although because of spiritual contact, they were never separated from the Lord. Just as the gopis at Vrindavan used to think of Krishna while he was away from the village for cow-herding engagements, the citizens of Dwaraka were all immersed in thought of the Lord while he was away from Dwaraka to attend the battle of Kurukshetra. Some distinguished fiction writer in Bengal concluded that the Krishna of Vrindavan, that of Mathura, and that of Dwaraka were different personalities. Historically, there is no truth in this conclusion. The Krishna of Kurukshetra and the Krishna of Dwaraka are one and the same personality. The citizens of Dwaraka were thus in a state of melancholy due to the Lord's absence from the transcendental city, as much as we are put in a state of melancholy. Melancholy means sadness at night because of the absence of the sun. The sound heralded by Lord Krishna, the sound announced by Lord Krishna was something like the heralding of the sunrise in the morning, like the announcement of the sunrise, like the indication that sun is about to rise. So all the citizens of Dwaraka awoke from a state of slumber because of the sunrise of Krishna, and they all hastened towards him just to have an audience. The devotees of the Lord know no one else as protector. this sound of the Lord is identical with the Lord, as we have tried to explain by the non-dual position of the Lord. The material existence of our present status is full of fear. Out of the four problems of material existence, namely the food problem, the shelter problem, the fear problem, and the mating problem, the fear problem gives us more trouble than the others. We are always fearful due to our ignorance of the next problem. The whole material existence is full of problems, and thus the fear problem is always prominent. This is due to our association with the illusory energy of the Lord, known as Maya or external energy. Yet all fear has vanished as soon as there is the sound of the Lord represented by His holy name, as it was sounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the following 16 words. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We can take advantage of these sounds and be free from all threatening problems of material existence. 4 and 5. Achyutanam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhuji, we discussed that the Krishna of Vrindavan and Mathura, you mentioned once that they are same and still it is like expanded form. So here, if Prabhupada is writing, they are not different personalities. Different in the sense? In which sense was this mentioned in this verse?
Just see this. This is his point.
Yes.
Historically, there is no truth in this conclusion. He is experienced as a different personality according to intensities of rasa. But he's the same person. They also know why they experience separation. Anyway, the experience of Prema Bhakti has to be experienced only. It cannot be logically comprehended. Okay, 4 and 5. Tatropanita balayo raver deepam ivadrita atmaramam purnakamam nijallabhen nityada Prityuthulla mukhah prochur harshagadgadaya gira pitaram sarva sukhridam avitaram ivarbhaka. The citizens arrive before the Lord with their respective presentations, offering them to the fully satisfied and self-sufficient one, who, by his own potency, incessantly supplies others. These presentations were like the lamp offered during worship of the Lord. Yet the citizens began to speak in ecstatic language to receive the Lord, just as wards welcome their guardian and father. Wards refer to young children. Arvakaha refer to young children. Tatra tasmin Shri Krishna upanitaha samarpitaha balayaha upayanani yabhistaha nirapekshe tasmin nadarena samarpane drishtantam. Even though the Supreme Lord does not depend, he is not he does not require any of the gifts that were given by the residents of Dwaraka, still they were offered to him with respect. And there is an example for that. And the example is, they were like the lamp offered during the worship of the sun. Deepam iva. Itaram arbhaka iva. Tam sarva sukhridam avitaram prochuriti uttarena. This text 5, the sentence in text 5 will be completed later on. Sukhritvena iva avataram, natu kamena. They had accepted him as their guardian, as their dearmost well-wisher, not out of a it is not that Krishna needed something to be fulfilled from them. Atra hetuhu. The reason for that, Atma Rama. The reason for that is stated in the word Atmarama, because he is self-sufficient. He doesn't need anything. Atrapi hetu, why is he Atmarama? Paramananda Nitya Swarupa Labhena Iva Purna Kama. Because all of his desires are naturally fulfilled because of his natural intrinsic supreme bliss. Not only did they offer gifts, they also offered prayers and so on. That is also just to please him. There is something unique about them approaching him the way children approach their father. It is not just like any child approaching his or her father. Here in this exhibition of affection, we notice a unique quality. Sarva Sukridam indicates that he is everyone's well-wisher. Where is Sarva Sukridam? Sarva Sukridam. He was friendly to everyone. Sarva Sukrit Vailingam. And how do we know that he was the well-wisher for everyone? Avitaram. Because he was like the guardian. Just as a king, he has special affection for his sons who have special affection for him because they consider that they're his own children. Like that. Even with the example of the Supreme Lord as a Kalpataru, there also the Lord's mercy to bestow devotional service fits in properly. Because they serve him while praying to him for his natural happiness. Here, Avitaram means guardian or protector. Atmaramam Punakamam indicates that he first of all experiences his unlimited spiritual bliss. He constantly experiences that. He is Almighty himself. And he is, all of his desires are fulfilled by himself, which indicates that because of his spiritual potency. His spiritual potency means his internal potency. The Supreme Lord Krishna is described herein as Atmarama. He is self-sufficient. And there is no need for him to seek happiness from anything beyond himself. He is self-sufficient because his very transcendental existence is total bliss. He is eternally existent. He is all cognizant and all blissful. Therefore, any presentation, however valuable it may be, is not needed by him, but still, because he is the well-wisher for one and all, he accepts from everyone everything that is offered to him in pure devotional service. It is not that he is in want of such things, because the things are themselves generated from his energy. The comparison is made herein that making offerings to the Lord is something like offering a lamp in the worship of the sun god. Anything fiery and illuminating is but an emanation of the energy of the sun, and yet to worship the sun god, it is necessary to offer him a lamp. In the worship of the sun, there is some sort of demand made by the worshipper, but in the case of devotion service to the Lord, there is no question of demand from either side. It is all a sign of pure love and affection between the Lord and the devotee. The Lord is the supreme father of all living beings, and therefore those who are conscious of this vital relation means that it is a necessary relation. This relationship cannot be avoided. Every other relationship we can avoid it, but this one relationship we cannot avoid. Who are conscious of this vital relation with God can make filial demands from the Father, and the Father is pleased to supply the demands of such obedient sons without bargaining. The Lord is just like the desired tree, emphasis. And from him, everyone can have everything by the causeless mercy of the Lord. As the Supreme Father, the Lord, however, does not supply to a pure devotee what is considered to be a barrier to the discharge of devotion service. Those who are engaged in the devotion service of the Lord can rise to the position of unalloyed devotion service by his transcendental attraction. 6. Natasmate nath sadankri pankajam virincha vairincha surendra vanditam parayanam kshemam hechattam param nayatra kala prabhavet parah prabhu. The citizens said, "O Lord, you are worshipped by all demigods like Brahma, the four sunners, and even the King of Heaven. You are the ultimate rest for those who are really aspiring to achieve the highest benefit of life. You are the supreme transcendental Lord, and inevitable time cannot exert its influence upon you." Kimuchur ititadaha. What did they say to him? That is now spelled out. Natasma. Virincho Brahma. Vairinchya Sanakadayaha. Iha samsare param shemam ichadam parayanam paramam sharanam utaha paresham brahmadina prabhurapi. Prabhu, where is Prabhu? Okay. Prabhu, the Supreme Lord, indicates that he is the Lord of even Brahma and others. Kalo yatra Prabhu Navavet. Okay, the meaning is even though inevitable time is the Lord of Brahma and others, still it cannot have any influence on you, on the Supreme Lord. This is what they're telling him. Can have no effect on his lotus feet, on Krishna's lotus feet, because he is the supreme shelter of all. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna has confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Samhita, and other authorized Vedic literatures. No one is equal to or greater than him, and that is the verdict of all scriptures. The influence of time and space is exerted upon the dependent living entities who are all parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. The living entities are predominated Brahman, whereas the Supreme Lord is the predominating Absolute. As soon as we forget this clear fact, we are at once put in illusion. Thus, we are put into the threefold miseries, as one is put into dense darkness. The clear consciousness of the cognizant living being is God consciousness, in which one bows down unto him in all circumstances. This is a paraphrase of an important verse from the 4th canto, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabda. Text 7. Bhavayanastvam Bhavavishva Bhavana Tvameva Mata Sukrit Patih Pita Tvam Sadgururnah Paramam Cha Daivatam Yasyanu Vidyakriti No Babhuvima. O Creator of the universe, you are our Mother, Well-wisher, Lord, Father, Spiritual Master, and worshipable Deity. By following in your footsteps, we have become successful in every respect. We pray, therefore, that you continue to bless us with your mercy. Ataha bhavaya udbhavaya nah asmakam tvam bhava. Hey Vishwabhavana. That is Vishwabhavana. Vishwabhavana. Nitinah Kritartha Bhavu Majata Vayam. Bhavaya Santata Nija Darshana Samriddhaye. May you bestow welfare upon us. That is the literal meaning of Bhavaya Naswam Bhava Vishwabhavana, O Creator of the universe, which has this sense. We pray that you continue to bless us with your mercy. So this blessing, Jiva Goswami has noted, is simply to enrich more and more their seeing and meeting the Supreme Lord constantly. This is the real meaning of auspiciousness. The all-good personality of God, being the creator of the universe, has his all-good plans for the good of all good living beings. This sounds like something that the Madhur group go on saying all the time. The all-good personality of God, being the creator of the universe, has his all-good plans for the good of all good living beings. The good living beings are advised by the Lord to follow his good advice, and by doing so, they become successful in all spheres of life. There is no need to worship any deity but the Lord. The Lord is all-powerful, and if he is satisfied by our obedience unto his lotus feet, he is competent to bestow upon us all kinds of blessings for the successful execution of both our material and spiritual lives. For attaining spiritual existence, the human form is a chance for all to understand our eternal relation with God. Our relation with him is eternal. It can be neither broken nor vanquished. It may be forgotten for the time being, but it can be revived also by the grace of the Lord if we follow his injunctions, which are revealed in the scriptures of all times, in all places. Aho sanatha bhavata smayadvayam ravishtapanapi dura darshanam premasmita snigdhan nirikshananam pashyema rupam tava sarva saubhagam. Oh, it is our good luck that we have come again today under congregation by your presence. Although your Lordship is rarely visited even by the denizens of heaven, now it is possible for us to look upon your smiling face, which is full of affectionate glances. We can now see your transcendental form full of all auspiciousness. They had said that, here they had said, we have become successful in every respect. So that success is now described in this verse. The Lord in his eternal personal form can be seen only by the pure devotees. The Lord is never impersonal. He is the supreme absolute personality of God, possible by dint of devotion service to be visited face to face, which is impossible to be done even by the denizens of higher planets. That will be an instance of that, which proves that fact will be brought out by Prabhupada now. When Brahmaji and other demigods want to consult Lord Vishnu, the plenary portion of Lord Krishna, they have to wait on the shore of the ocean of milk, where Lord Vishnu is lying on the white island, Shvetadvipa. Shveta means white, Dvipa means island. This ocean of milk and the Shvetadvipa planet are the replica of Vaikuntha Loka within the universe. Neither Brahmaji nor the demigods like Indra can enter into this island of Shvetadvipa, but they can stand on the shore of the ocean of milk and transmit their message to Lord Vishnu, known as Kshirodakshai Vishnu. Therefore, the Lord is rarely seen by them. But the inhabitants of Dwaraka, because of their being pure devotees without any tinge of the material contamination of fruitive activities and empiric philosophical speculation, can see him face to face by the grace of the Lord. This is the original state of the living entities and can be attained by reviving our natural and constitutional state of life, which is discovered by devotional service only. 9. Yarhyambujakshaapa sasarabho bhavan kurun madhun vat suhrid drakshaya tatrabda koti pratima kshano bhavet ravim vinakshno rivanastavachuta. O lotus-eyed Lord, whenever you go away to Mathura Vrindavan or Hastinapur to meet your friends and relatives, every moment of your absence seems like millions of years. O infallible one, at that time our eyes become useless, as if bereft of the sun. Now they speak very pitiably, like children. When you neglect us, when you go away, Kurun, Hastinapuram, Madhun, Mathuramba, when you go to Hastinapur or Mathura, Tatra Tada, Ravivina Anthya Dakshnor Yathaikopi Kshanobdakoti Pratimobhave. Just as when you, when without the sun one feels as if he is blind. Like that we experience even one kshana, one moment to be millions of years. Evam tava nah padiyanam asmakam api ityarthaha. So this is the situation for all of us. Atra madhun mathuram va iti vyakhyayat tadanim tan mandale sukrudo vrajastha eva prakata iti tairapya abhimatam. So it is acknowledged by Srila Sridhar Swami that in Mathura Mandala, the Lord's well-wishers residing in Vraja were manifest. Tatra yoga prabhavena nitva sarvajanam harihi ityatra sarvashabdat varavadrah purushreshtam bhagavan rathamasthita suhrid dikshotkanthah prayayo nanda gokulam ityatra prasiddhatvacha. See, when it talks about Mathura, Madhun refers to Mathura, but everyone in Mathura had already been transported to Dwaraka, Mathura city. That's Mathura city, Mathura Mandala. So Mathura sometimes refers to Mathura city, but sometimes Mathura refers to Mathura district. Vrindavan, Vraja is part of Mathura district. So it cannot refer to Mathura city because by his mystic potency, the Supreme Lord took everyone from Mathura city to Dwaraka. So then who else did he go to see in Mathura district? That we know that Lord Balabhadra, he had gone to Nanda Gokula to see his well-wishers, his own well-wishers. So who are the well-wishers of the Lord in Mathura district? That are none but the residents of Vrindavan. So another point to note is, just as the Lord goes to Hastinapur every now and then, so like that it is implied that the Lord also goes to Vrindavan every now and then from Dwaraka. Madhun Mathura Vandalam Nanda Vrajam Ityarthaha Natu Mathura Purim Tadanim Tasyam Sukradam Abhavat. It cannot be Mathura city because at that time none of his well-wishers were there, as we know from Srimad Bhagavatam. Everybody was taken from Mathura city. So the Supreme Lord had said that he will come and see the residents of Vrindavan, Vraja, that he would return to Vraja. From the Padma Purana and other such Puranas, it has been very explicitly stated. But in Sri Bhagavatam, it has been noted in this particular verse. The Supreme Lord had promised that I will come back. So to fulfill that promise, he had gone, and Baladev had also gone. This is noted in the Uttarakhanda of Padma Purana. We are all proud of our material senses for making experiments to determine the existence of God, but we forget that our senses are not absolute by themselves. They can only act under certain conditions. For example, our eyes. As long as the sunshine is there, our eyes are useful to a certain extent. But in the absence of sunshine, the eyes are useless. Lord Sri Krishna, being the primeval Lord, the supreme truth, is compared to the sun. Without him, all our knowledge is either false or partial. The opposite of the sun is the darkness, and similarly, the opposite of Krishna is Maya or illusion. The devotees of the Lord can see everything in true perspective due to the light disseminated by Lord Krishna. By the grace of the Lord, the pure devotee cannot be in the darkness of ignorance. Therefore, it is necessary that we must always be in the sight of Lord Krishna so that we can see both ourselves and the Lord with these different energies. As we cannot see anything in the absence of the sun, so also we cannot see anything, including our own self, without the factual presence of the Lord. Without him, all our knowledge is covered by illusion. It's only our knowledge that's covered by illusion. He is not covered by illusion. Nirasta kuhakam. Dhamna swayena sada nirasta kuhakam. 10. Here it comes as 10, but in the other reading it comes as 11. 10 and 11. Why? It's not found. इति चोदीरितावाच प्रजानां भक्तवत्सल शृण्वानोऽनुग्रहं दृष्ट्या वितन्वन् प्राविशत् पुरम्. O Master, if you live abroad all the time, then we cannot look at your attractive face, whose satisfied smiles vanquish all our sufferings. How can we exist without your presence? Upon hearing their speeches, the Lord, who is very kind to the citizens and the devotees, entered the city of Dwaraka and acknowledged all their greetings by casting his transcendental glance over them. Your satisfied smiles vanquish all of our sufferings in the form of our desire to see you. So the Supreme Lord, he acknowledged their greetings by favorably glancing upon them. Lord Krishna's attraction is so powerful that once being attracted by him, one cannot tolerate separation from him. Why is this so? Because we are all eternally related with him as the sun rays are eternally related with the sun disk. The sun rays are molecular parts of the solar radiation. Thus, the sun rays and the sun cannot be separated. The separation by the cloud is temporary and artificial. And as soon as the cloud is cleared, the sun rays again display their natural effulgence in the presence of the sun. Similarly, the living entities who are molecular parts of the Holy Spirit are separated from the Lord by the artificial covering of Maya, the illusory energy. This illusory energy or the curtain of Maya has to be removed, and when it is so done, the living entity can see the Lord face to face and all his miseries are at once removed. Every one of us wants to remove the miseries of life. So this is another meaning of thirst. We all have the thirst to remove the miseries of material existence. but we do not know how to do it. The solution is given here, and it rests on us to assimilate it or not. 11. मधुभोज दशार्हाः कुकुरान्धक वृष्णिभिः आत्मतुल्य बलैर्युक्तां नागैर्भोगवतीमिव. As Bhogavati, the capital of Nagaloka, is protected by the Nagas, so was Dwaraka protected by the descendants of Vrishni. The Bhojas, Madhus, the Sharhas, Arhas, Ukuras, Andhakas, etc., who were as strong as Lord Krishna. Tam Dwarakam Stauti Panchabhi. Then in 5 verses, beginning with the current verse 11, Dwaraka is now glorified. The true glories of Dwaraka are described. Swatulya Valay Madhu Bhojadipir Guptam Rakshitam. The Dwaraka is now described in 5 verses. Atmatulyeti Tesham Nitya Pashadatva Muktam. The expression Atmatulya Balai, who were as strong as Lord Krishna, indicates that these were all eternal associates of the Lord, Nitya Parshadas. Because the Padma Purana has stated, Ete hi yadavas sarve madgana eva bhamini sarvada mat priya devi matulya gunashalinaha. This is the Supreme Lord talking, saying, all these Yadavas, they are my associates, a beautiful lady. At all times, they're very dear to me, O Goddess. They are filled with qualities equal to mine. The Nagaloka planet is situated below the Earth planet. And it is understood that the sun rays are hampered there. The darkness of the planet is, however, removed by the flashes of the jewels set on the heads of the Nagas, celestial serpents. And it is said that there are beautiful gardens, rivulets, etc. for the enjoyment of the Nagas. It is understood here also that the place is well protected by the inhabitants. So also, the city of Dwaraka was well protected by the descendants of Vishnu, who were as powerful as the Lord, insofar as he manifested his strength upon this earth. So they're as powerful as the Lord. Even the eternal associates are only as powerful as the Lord manifests his power on earth during a particular pastime. They are not infinitely as powerful as the Lord. Lord Krishna's attraction is so powerful that once being attracted by him, one cannot tolerate separation from him. It has been seen that devotees will go away from the movement. No, but they have not attained attraction. Attraction means there is one stage, asakti, is somewhere up there. That is after one comes to the point of uninterrupted engagement in devotional service. Well, in this reading it is 13. I should make a note separately. Sarvarta sarva vibhava punya vriksha latashramai udyanopa vanaramair vrita padmakara shriyam. The city of Dwarakapuri was filled with the opulences of all seasons. Everywhere there were hermitages, orchards, flower gardens, parks, and reservoirs of water breeding lotus flowers. Sarveshu ritushu sarve bhava pushpadi sampado yesham te. It was filled with the opulences of all seasons, means that it had the opulences of flowers growing in all the seasons, growing all the time. Te punya vriksha latashrama lata mandapaste yeshu. There were, what do they call it? There were creeper houses. There were in Vrindavan area we see. So these kind of botanical arrangements were there. Udyana. Where is Udyana? Udyana. Orchard. They have plenty of flowers. They're primarily filled with flowers. Sorry, filled with fruits. Sorry, fruits. Whereas Upavanas, primarily filled with flowers. Orchards, fruit orchard. Upavanas are flower gardens. Arama, pleasure garden. They are parks. Kridartham Vanam. Perfection of human civilization is made possible by utilizing the gifts of nature in their own way. As we find herewith in the description of its opulence, Dwarka was surrounded by flower gardens and fruit orchards along with reservoirs of water where lotuses grew. There is no mention of mills and factories supported by slaughterhouses, which are the necessary paraphernalia of the modern metropolis. The propensity to utilize nature's own gifts is still there, even in the heart of modern civilized man. The leaders of modern civilization select their own residential quarters in a place where there are such naturally beautiful gardens and reservoirs of water, but they leave the common man to reside in congested areas without parks and gardens. Herein, of course, we find a whole description of herein, of course, we find a different description of the city of Dwaraka. It is understood that the whole dham or residential quarter was surrounded by such gardens and parks with reservoirs of water where lotuses grew. It is understood that all the people depended on nature's gifts of fruits and flowers without industrial enterprises, promoting filthy huts and slums for residential quarters. Advancement of civilization is estimated not on the growth of mills and factories to deteriorate the finer instincts of the human being, but on developing the potent spiritual instincts of human beings and giving them a chance to go back to Godhead. Even Mayapur, there is a view that Mayapur should being a city, it should become a Vedic city. And when our devotees think of Vedic city, they think of Dwaraka. But even here, it's very clear that it is filled with greenery, natural greenery. Development of factories and mills is called Ugra Karma, or pungent activities. And such activities deteriorate the finer sentiments of the human being and turn society into a dungeon of demons. We find herein the mention of pious trees which produce seasonal flowers and fruits. The impious Punya Vriksha. The impious trees are useless jungles only, and they can only be used to supply fuels. In the modern civilization, such impious trees are planted on the sides of roads. Human energy should be properly utilized in developing the finer senses for spiritual understanding, in which lies the solution of life. Fruits, flowers, beautiful gardens, parks, and reservoirs of water with ducks and swans playing in the midst of lotus flowers and cows giving sufficient milk and butter are essential for developing the finer tissues of the human body. As against this, the dungeons of mines, factories, and workshops develop demoniac propensities in the working class. Demoniac propensity means all those features which are symptoms of uncivilized life. As I often show, there's a list of qualities noted in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam. Just 1 minute, I'll just show it. If you examine these ones on the right, dirtiness, dishonesty, thievery, faithlessness, unnecessary violence, lust, anger, hankering, lack of endeavor for the happiness and welfare of all creatures. These are the demoniac propensities. So the more and more we create all these factories, workshops, and all this, then that's what happens. The vested interests flourish at the cost of the working class, and consequently, there are severe clashes between them in so many ways. The description of Dwaraka Dham is the ideal of human civilization. Achyutanam Prabhu.
So I have two questions. One is when you mentioned Mayapur is supposed to be Vedic city. I heard one statement like we were in a meeting and one of the co-directors said that now we are having very less land in Mayapur available. So the current plan of building is G+4, G+5, means 5-storied building, 6-storied building, and we are seeing that increasing also. So it's not matching with what it should be or supposed to
No,
be.
I see. It's just that there's a conception that Mayapur should develop like a Vedic city like Dwaraka. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that all the features of Dwaraka should be here and all that. It's not possible also. At least as of now, we cannot even imagine these things. But there are devotees who say that. And my point is, those who say that, they should also note that Dwaraka was quite eco-friendly. Let me put it like that. It's not just something. Modern city means not like London, Paris, New York, not like that. That's my point. Prabhupada gave very clear instructions how Mayapur is meant to be developed. Meant to be self-sufficient community. We are supposed to have our own food, our own clothes, our own medicines even. So first of all, we need to have devotees who like to become self-sufficient. If devotees don't like to become self-sufficient, then it becomes a big problem. So I think the bigger problem is that our devotees don't want to be self-sufficient. Because if you want to be self-sufficient, then you'll start thinking in a particular manner. Anyway, more and more devotees are beginning to worry about this, which is a good sign. Okay, so I'll stop with that. Yes?
So one more question. It is from this Nagalok planet Purport 11. I was wondering that in Kali Yuga also sometimes such beings are somewhere spotted on earth, like there are rumors of serpents with jewels on their head in villages. I used to hear from my grandparents. So is there a visit in Kali Yuga also?
Yeah. There are things which have been documented. There are books. There's one book called Parallels. There's one book called Parallels.
What's the name, Prabhu?
You asked me in Telegram. I'll put a link also.
Okay, bro.
Okay, so we'll stop with this. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripasindu bhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo.